I got you.
Before we get started with this edition of Digging Up the Dead Man here on the Talking Taker YouTube channel, we want to give a huge shout out to our presenting sponsors, Manscaped. That's right, we want to invite you, our fellow creature of the night, to join the 7 million and counting who have laid their other grooming products to rest, who have buried them deep down in the ground and have given them the last ride, and make the switch over to Manscaped. Manscaped.com is offering you, our loyal member of the Pod Street crew, an incredible discount. 20% off your entire order plus free shipping over at Manscaped.com when you use the code TAKEREASY. That's right, use the code TAKEREASY, TAKEREASY, all one word, over at Manscaped.com, and you can get any of their incredible grooming products for 20% off plus free shipping wherever you are out there. And that includes the Beard Hedger. That's right. If you want to put all your other facial hair products, you want to put them away, you want to give them the tombstone, you want to give them a choke slam down on the ground, I encourage you to check out the Beard Hedger. This thing is unbelievable. I've been shaving for 20 plus years, for more than half of my life. And I tell you, I've always been looking for the perfect beard trimming product. I used to shave, old school with shaving cream and a regular razor. Hated it. Always getting cut up from the time I hit puberty to nowadays. If I tried it now, I would 100% get a cut on my face. So I switched over to electric razors, and some of them were okay, but you can never quite get the precision that you wanted. It was always scraggly with hairs out of place and things like that. Enter Manscaped with the Beard Hedger. And they were kind enough to send that to me, and as soon as I tried it for the very first time, I knew I would never want another beard grooming product again, because this thing has 20 different precision grooming links. It's just got a tiny little click wheel as well. It's not 20 different blades that you got to put on there. It's just 20 different clicks, and the blade moves up and down, and it's got the guard on there that moves up and down, and you can trim your beard. You can have it nice and long like this. You can get it down to a nice stubble, nice 5 o'clock shadow. You can get it everywhere in between, and you can get it evenly from the sideburns to the mustache, everywhere in between. It's waterproof. You can take it in the shower, so you can do it in there as well. I mean, there is no turning back. You can take the top off as well, and you can get the neck here. You can get everything smooth. So even if you don't have a beard, if you're a baby face like my co-host Travis, you can use the Beard Hedger for all it's worth as well. Not to mention the Weed Whacker, part of the Performance Package 4.0. You get the Weed Whacker, get those obnoxious little nose hairs and ear hairs. You get the lawn mower as well. We know what it's for. We know it's for your Death Valley region. Not to mention Manscaped's incredible boxer shorts, which I'm wearing right now. Take my word for it. You don't need to see it, but I'm wearing that right now. Here in Death Valley. You've got all their incredible creams and lotions. Their beard cream is in my beard right now. Their lotions and gels are on my skin right now. Manscaped has changed my life. They have brought this dead man back to life. I tell you the truth. And you can be just like me. You can be just like Travis. You can join the Manscaped revolution at manscaped.com. 20% off. Use the code TAKEREASY. 20% off, so an incredible discount on all their products, plus the free shipping, which is an incredible discount in itself if you know what shipping costs are like these days. So we hope that you'll check them out. They've been incredible to us. We want to spread the word. We want you to enjoy the incredible products that they offer. Manscaped.com, 20% off. Use the code TAKEREASY. Thanks to them for sponsoring this episode. Now enjoy. All right, creatures of the night, and all you loyal members of the Pod Street crew out there. My name is Alex Doriot, one half of the Talking Taker podcast, and I want to welcome you back, first time in a long time, to another episode of Digging Up the Dead Man here on the Talking Taker YouTube channel, a little extension of the Talking Taker podcast where I do some unboxings, check out some Undertaker merch, random stuff like that here on the YouTube channel. And like I said, it's been a little while while, but I've got some videos lined up here that we're going to be doing to resurrect the YouTube channel here and this Digging Up the Dead Man series. And we're going to kick it off here with one of the latest Mattel Elite figure releases, a must-have for the Talking Taker collection. If you've been following the channel, if you've been following the podcast for a while, you know that I have been building up a collection, not just of Undertaker figures or Mean Mark Callous figures here, but also Undertaker opponents, every Undertaker opponent that we have covered throughout our history, going on 6 years now of Talking Taker, covering every Undertaker pay-per-view match. Not only that, but some, the periphery characters, managers, people who've had a big impact throughout the podcast and the history, covering the Undertaker's career. And of course, I've got a Paul Heyman figure. You got to have a Paul Heyman figure in your Undertaker, we like to call it the Rogues Gallery, your Undertaker Opponents collection. You got to have a Paul Heyman character in there because he is unquestionably, I think, one of the Undertaker's greatest rivals. Even if he never faced him physically inside the squared circle, he was there with Brock Lesnar, the next big thing, managing him in his many matches against the Undertaker. He was there with CM Punk, managing CM Punk against the Undertaker at WrestleMania 29. I mean, he was also even there with the Dudley Boys in the Concrete Crypt match, trying to end the Undertaker's career. So I've long since had a Paul Heyman figure, but the latest Mattel Legends series, I believe is Legends Series 18, we are getting the first ever Paul E. Dangerously figure. Now, Paulie Dangerously was, of course, in the early days of WCW, in the early 90s, the most prominent manager there. Went on to be the founder and an on-screen character in ECW, of course, famously. But I think what a lot of people don't remember is that for a brief period, Paulie Dangerously was also the manager of this guy, of Mean Mark Callous, in his brief WCW run. It's a longer run than you think. It's more like 8 or 9 months. So it's not that short-lived. Uh-oh, my light was short-lived here. Okay, there we go. That's more like it. Sorry about that, folks. Light went out for a second, but we got that fixed. As I was saying, yeah, Paulie Dangerously was the manager for Mean Mark Callous in his brief WCW run. Now, this awesome Mean Mark Callous figure released in the Legends line a few series ago, something that I unboxed here on the channel, something I think most wrestling fans, Undertaker fans, us loyal Undertaker fans probably thought we'd never see, but it was such a cool release. Ended up being on the clearance racks of a lot of Targets. You could get this one for, $6.99 pretty easily. So it wasn't a huge hit, kind of a niche figure. Whereas the Paulie Dangerously, I think, is going to be a bigger hit. And so far, from my vantage point, I don't know about all you, you can leave a comment down in the section below. This has been a lot harder to find, in my opinion. The last few sets of Legends seems like they've been very prevalent. Seems like a lot of them have moved on to the clearance racks, not too long after they've been on the shelves. It's been, fairly easy to find most of these Legend series. This new series, I don't know if they've, released fewer of them or had a more focused run of numbers on them. But man, I searched for this Paulie Dangerously figure for weeks after it had been cited in the stores. And I've still only seen it on the shelf one time in 3 different states that I've searched for it. I haven't gone to different states searching for it specifically, but I live in South Carolina. My parents live in Georgia, so when I visited them, I searched for it in Georgia. Went to a wedding in Birmingham, Alabama last weekend, which is actually where I found this guy, finally, at the 3rd Target that I searched in Alabama, which is ridiculous. But yeah, this one has been harder to find. This series seems to be harder to find. I know I was bugging Randy Turco and Steven Zeman, friends of the show, loyal members of the Pod Street crew that I'm in a little group text with. We're all big Undertaker figure hunters and collectors. I was bugging them often about my frustration with not being able to find this figure. So thankfully, after about 25 Target runs, something like that, I did lock this guy down because you got to have, if you're going to have a Mean Mark Callous figure on your shelf, you might as well have a Mean Mark Callous's manager next to him on the shelf. So let's take a look at it here. The Legend series have been so much fun from Mattel. They're the Target exclusive Legend series. We've been getting a lot of first time in the line characters, a lot of people you would probably never get squeezed into a regular Elite series or basic series, but the Legends line has allowed them to really be creative here. Side of the box there, that glorious, beautiful shot of Paul Heyman when he still had a thick head of hair up there, and I'm sure I'll be looking more like Paul Heyman modern day myself sooner than later, so I'll make fun of that while I still can. But here's what the back of the box says. In the early 1990s, WCW saw a manager of a new faction, the Dangerous Alliance, and his name was Paulie Dangerously. Never seen without his trademark cellular phone, Paulie advised champions like Ravishing Rick Rude and Stunning Steve Austin. Soon he left for more extreme pastures and changed the landscape forever as the head of WCW. Now, they didn't mention Mean Mark there. I'm a little disappointed in that, but of course Mean Mark was not really in the Dangerous Alliance. That came after his time there. Definitely what Paulie Dangerously was more famously known for. But you still got to have it here. I love that we've got the accessories here because, you know, Paulie Dangerously, he definitely, when he went to ECW, he was always seen with a hat on. But most famously, he's got that giant cellular phone. I think we debated on the show, Travis and I did back when we talked about Paulie Dangerously. Who's more known for this cell phone? Is it Paulie or is it Zach Morris? What do you call this type of giant cell phone? Do you call it a Paulie Dangerously phone? You call it a Zach Morris cell phone? I think I call it a Zach Morris cell phone. I think he's more famous for that cell phone. But Paulie, man, what a great gimmick to have that cell phone. It was such a obnoxious, snobby thing to have, like in 1990, 1991, 92. Such a great heel thing for him to have. And of course, he broke it over people's heads, used it as a weapon. Great creative gimmick there from Paulie, and that's why he's still one of the most creative minds in the business today. That creativity was there early on and still there going unbelievably here in 2023. He's as relevant as he ever has been in his career, on the island of relevancy there with the Bloodline. So I'll shut up and I'll rip this bad boy open. Let's get to what we're here for. All right. No need to be delicate with the packaging. Oh my God. Man, my light keeps dying here, so I'm going to try to get this done here before it dies out on me again. But yeah, we've got it open. Paulie in the package there, that gray suit. I feel like that's pretty much always what he had on. I'm sure I'm wrong. He probably had dark suits on, some black or navy suits on, but man, I feel like he always had this sort of gray suit on. Very 90s style look. So it's got these, rubber bands or whatever, keeping everything together there, which is great. I'm glad that they do it, but it's kind of annoying for these videos. Got to protect the cell phone. That's the most important piece there. You got to keep that. Look at the detail on it. That's pretty cool. You know, got the buttons painted, got the antenna. And I've seen online, I've seen other people that have had this, that the phone actually breaks apart. Yeah, so it's breakable. It's a breakaway. So if you were playing with it, you know, he could smash it on somebody's head. Or, if you're a 10-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid playing with it, you could lose it. And I'm sure, 100% sure, if I was playing with this figure back in the day, I would have lost at least one piece to this phone fairly quickly in the midst of playing with it. And I'm going to struggle with losing these pieces right now. All right, got it back together. I'm going to pray to God that it stays together when I put it on display, because God only knows that thing will be lost forever. Let's get Paulie out of the plastic here. And I will say, like, early 90s WCW, I have definitely grown to appreciate it more as an adult. I was definitely 100%, even though I grew up in the South, definitely in WCW country in Augusta, Georgia, I was a WWF kid. I was a Hulk Hogan kid. That's what I grew up on. Always been more of a WWF guy than WCW. Travis, my co-host, he was unquestionably a WCW guy, and he'll tell you that. But I was always a WWF guy. But I definitely remember Paulie Dangerously. I would still watch WCW when I could find it on. And this guy jumped off the screen to me. He was a great character, a great manager, a great heel. Someone who was not a cool heel at all. Very, very unlikable. Definitely in that vein. Really, not even Bobby Heenan. I'd say he was definitely more in the vein of Jim Cornette in this era of Paulie Dangerously. And he was so good at it. I mean, like, even back then, like I said, he's the top heel in the company, managing the top heel in the company. He managed in the top faction in the company here in 2023. He did the same thing 30 years ago in the early 90s with the Dangerous Alliance, which is, just incredible to have the longevity and the run that he's had. Not to mention his creativity and his legacy, building ECW, a brand that is still, has relevancy in this day. Even if it's not around, it still effects are still heard. But look at that. He's got the very, early 90s tie with those pink, purplish, black, white colors, just jumps off to you. You can throw the ECW hat on, and so, oh my gosh, that looks perfect. That is definitely Paulie Dangerously ECW. I think I've seen some people criticizing this, but man, that looks like Paulie in those early days of ECW. And look at this hair, man. I didn't bring my other Paul Heyman figure over here to compare, but look at that mullet. Look at that glorious mullet, a full head of hair on Paulie. Of course, we all remember he kept that ponytail for as long as he could, and he's still got a little bit of a horseshoe there. But man, that is a glorious mullet on there. Got the finger point. He's got other hands. You can do finger point on the other hand and fists. Nobody needs the closed fist. This is what you need to do. You gotta pose it with, like it is in the box. You gotta put the phone in one hand. That's right. That's how we know Paul E. Dangerously. Put the phone up to the ear. He's going to be calling somebody else in the Dangerous Alliance in the back. He's going to be calling somebody from advice. He's going to be cutting this obnoxious promo. And in my collection, he's going to be standing right next to this guy. Maybe not his greatest protege, his most famous protege, but the one that matters for our collection, Mean Mark Callis. Man, that is beautiful. I never would have thought this combination would have existed in figure form. So thank you for that, Mattel. These are a home run. Knocked it out of the park with these. These are awesome. So definitely pick this up. Like I said, we've done Talking Taker. We've covered every Undertaker match, but we actually did an entire episode devoted to Mean Mark, to the Undertaker's run in WCW. I'll throw a link up to it here. I don't know which side it's on. I can't remember which side the links go on, but I will throw a link up to that episode that we did. And we covered, we did in-depth coverage we covered his entire run. We talked about his entire brief run in WCW, but we did in-depth coverage on one particular match, Mean Mark versus Lex Luger. His most prominent match in WCW, I would say, as he got a United States title shot on pay-per-view at the 1990 Great American Bash. And of course, Mean Mark's got Paul E. Dangerously on his side. So an important addition to the Talking Taker collection. Are you going to add it to your collection? If you have the Mean Mark, are you going to add the Paul E. Dangerously to your collection? Or do you have another reason to add him to your collection? Let us know in the comments below. Let us know your review of this. To me, I mean, a 10 out of 10. Maybe not for everybody, but definitely a must-have for me, and I think it's a really great addition to any WCW collection or your ECW collection as well. It's obviously, you can make it work for either one of those. And like I said, Paul Heyman, I believe, especially with this connection to Undertaker in his early days, I believe Paul Heyman goes down as one of the Undertaker's greatest rivals of all time. And I'll use that opportunity to plug the next episode of Talking Taker that's coming up. It'll be out on June 1st. It's going to be Travis and I debating who the Undertaker's top 10 rivals of all time are. So we are going to create our own top 10 lists. We're going to go back and forth, and we're going to see who we think are the Undertaker's top 10 rivals of all time. We've done these top 10 debates on some Undertaker matches. We've done them on his top 10 entrances of all time. It's always fun to go back and forth with Travis. So be sure to check that out. See where Paul Heyman, spoiler alert, as Paul Heyman likes to do a spoiler alert, he's going to be in my top 10. So see where he ranks. See if he ranks in Travis's top 10 rivals of all time. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for even more Digging Up the Dead Man and for the live video episodes of Talking Taker podcast on the first of every month, plus special bonus episodes throughout the month. And of course, thanks again to our sponsors, our presenting sponsors for Digging Up the Dead Man, for Talking Taker, Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com. Use the code TAKEREASY, TAKERESY, for 20% off and free shipping on your entire order. TAKEREASY at manscaped.com for 20% off. And as always, to everybody out there watching, take her easy.